Joel's got a bigger interface than both of us and a better mic than both of us.
Do you actually do music, Joel?
No.
No, not at all.
Exactly.
This is depressing.
This is why I'm so confused.
I can do I do voiceovers. That's my thing.
Right.
Okay.
So
are you
I
going to be
just-
on Fiverr and you're going to just like be like old man with English voice?
In a
20 quid.
world where
He's going to end up on those videos where somebody goes, I asked 15 people to do this on Fiverr.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
And then he's
Like,
going to get slated for sounding like awful.
But anyways, hello guys.
Hello. How
Welcome
you doing?
to episode 4 of
Thank you
the
for
Low
having
Expectations podcast. We actually have a guest today.
Hello.
We have. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Why not? My name is Sylvan Kalviac. I am also a filmmaker like these young ones.
Young ones.
Even though I'm the youngest. Yeah. And I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about this because it just means that I don't have to sit and listen to Angus waffle on for an hour.
Wow.
We can actually have like a proper conversation and
With people who know what they're talking about in comparison to me. So,
but just as a like every week, we will just do our little segments before we jump into chatting with the lovely Sylvan.
our beautifully curated segments.
And what's the first one, Angus?
Well, I set you a little challenge last week, didn't I?
Again?
Again, to watch. What film was it again?
It was how do you not know which film you?
Oh,
told
it was
me?
The King. It was The King. Don't worry. Great. Yep. So I set you the challenge to watch The King on Netflix. So you're going to give me your thoughts now.
Honest thoughts.
Yeah,
Honest.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, I don't want your honest thoughts anymore.
It was all right.
Okay.
Like it was like the cinematography
that's Joel's
was
code
great.
for it was crap.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't know until the end that it was actually produced by Brad Pitt.
Yes, it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was an interesting little fact
Little
that
nugget
I
of
found
information.
out.
What did you think about the cinematography? Because
Yeah, that's the only thing that I really look at in films. I think it was really nice actually.
great. You
Like,
just reminded me how much I don't want to go to the cinema with you. Like, do you enjoy the film? Wow, the camera angles were great.
yeah. Well, no, actually, speaking of the camera angles and especially the one takes were beautiful. Like
There's quite a few.
there was, there was two that I really noticed, which was obviously the first shot, which is like beautiful, just like coming into the film and stuff like that. But the main one was in the main fight scene where like they're all like, there's probably thousands
It's
of
just
people
like a
there.
huge like
And
mosh pit
yeah,
with
like,
swords.
yeah, and like the amount of like organization and stuff for
Yeah.
that to be pulled off, and it's like I should have actually like timed it in how long it took, but it went on for a good like 2, 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe.
I love that film. I don't know what it was. It was just a little niche thing that popped up on my Netflix once, and I think it's because I watched quite a few films with the lead Timothy Chalamet in. So I think it popped up and was like, oh yeah, I'll watch that, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really well put together. I love the color of it. The color is so like gritty and like
Yeah,
it's really beautiful. And I guess I like the storyline. You can't hate the storyline. It's a true storyline.
yeah. I think that's the thing that got me, is like I kind of got a little bit lost midway,
Right.
and I think it was mainly because they told the story like perfectly to a T.
Yeah.
I just had a bit of like I don't know. I think I get drawn in by like the really like new and creative stories that kind of have
Yeah.
a bit of a twist to them. Whereas
Yeah, I get that.
because this was like a pretty like I was reading some stuff about it from people who actually knew what they were talking about, and they were basically saying that it's literally just like to the T, like a perfect representation of everything
Yeah.
that went on. So
Yeah.
I think that's potentially where I got lost. But
Fair enough.
overall, yeah, like I wasn't like, as I said, I wasn't a massive fan of the actual like story, and like I think it could have well, yeah. All I'm saying is it could have been shorter. I think
Right,
there was at some points it really dragged out.
I
But-
think, coming back to our conversation from a few weeks ago, I think it's one of those films where actually I'm not sure Netflix was the right platform for it. I think it could have
Yeah.
it could have either made a more money or been a better film if it had been released in a cinema. Because with that experience around you and with the with a certain kind of surround sound and a big screen and stuff like that, I think it would have been a lot more immersive than me watching it on my laptop in bed. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I think okay. Well, I've got
Overall,
your thoughts now.
I will give it.
I know
I'll give
what
it a
not to
half.
recommend you in future.
Yeah, I'll give it a half stamp of
My next
approval.
recommendation for you this week
Yes.
is another series. I know you love series.
Oh.
Now, this is actually quite a new one, and you like The Politician, so I
Okay.
thought, might as well recommend this one. I watched it the other week. It's really, really good. Produced by the same guy who produced The Politician, Ryan Murphy.
Yeah.
It's called Hollywood. It's a bit...
Oh.
yeah, there's some very interesting bits in it. I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
I've had it on my like what's it called, like a Netflix
Yeah, the thing
list
that pops... Yeah.
or whatever.
I think
I've
you
had
should
it
watch
on
it.
there.
I think it's good. It's very interesting. I think that's really the only real words I can use to describe it.
Great. Is
yeah.
there like have you got a rough rundown? That's what I want to
It's
hear.
about
every week.
it's about 1960s, so post-war Hollywood,
Okay.
and about a group of people trying to make it in Hollywood, make films. Centers around this film that's a big controversial thing because it's the first film with a black lead, and so there's like protests and stuff like that. It's it really, really well written. There's a lot of like famous cameos in it, like Jim Parsons, who plays Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory, is in it.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other people you'll recognise. The lead is played by David Corenswet, who played the guy who dies in The Politician.
Yeah. I saw that in the trailer.
And Darren Criss, who's also a big actor. And then it's got Patti LuPone in it, who is like a really famous Broadway actor. So you won't have heard of her, but yeah, she's in
great.
it. So yeah, there you go. That's that's
Well,
my recommendation for next week.
Yeah. So I'm actually excited about this one.
Cute.
The first week where you've actually told me something that I vaguely know.
I don't think
know
the
of.
segment is called "Recommend Joel a film that he knows." I think
Yeah.
it's "Recommend Joel a film that he won't know and he might like."
Well, you failed in
So
that. then.
so it's 1-0. No, it's 1-1 then, isn't it? Because I've won one and then I've lost the last one. So
Yeah. So we'll
Great.
see how it goes.
Sylvan's been sat here very patiently listening to us.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Mumble
I'm
for
enjoying
about
not
10 minutes.
talking.
This is going to be a great podcast.
It's going to be fabulous.
Great. Shall we get into
Let's get into the
chatting with
nitty-gritty.
Sylvan?
Do it.
Oh,
Sorry about that. Thanks, Brighton.
Sound effect. Get the
That's one thing about being in the city.
amazing.
get the soundboard connected.
Oh yeah.
So the first question, and I'm not sure if you still do it or not, but I remember about a year ago, there was a time where you were going and just throwing yourself in the sea every day. What was the thought process behind that, and do you still do it? Like,
I originally was going to ask if you're asking Angus this, but never mind.
It's definitely not about me.
No, it's definitely not about Angus. Yeah, so do you want me to talk about me going and see my thought process? Okay. Well, basically, me and my best friend Harry, we met, I think, just before winter before last.
mhm.
And before that, I've always loved the water and stuff. And since we met each other, we kind of just started challenging each other to go in the sea, like, as it got colder and colder. So it's not actually something I planned on doing at all. It just ended up happening. It's just one of those things which, so yeah, I still go in the sea every winter, at least once a week, sometimes daily, but rarely.
It's crazy. It's like, I love the sea. Like, I'm like super into like my surfing and stuff like that, but it's
For
like
sure,
just running in your boxes is just too much for me.
It's
Like,
not on my list of things to do.
yeah, like, I don't know. Every time I saw it, I was like I'd love to try this like once, but I do not know how you do it every day. Do you just get accustomed to it? Is it just like normal? Or?
Definitely. I mean, it's still like, I don't think the shock of when it's really cold ever goes away. But you get so much more used to it, and you start becoming more controlled about like your reactions instead of squealing about and stuff, which I used to do for sure.
I would definitely still do that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
People who aren't used to it, and including myself still, will get like a really big reaction. Like me and Harry have done it almost 2 winters now, and we're both still like, when it's cold, like, ooh, you know, it's proper cold in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do get used to it.
So you're gonna get back into that after lockdown?
Definitely. I'm not gonna go in the sea in summer. I'm just gonna wait until winter.
Yeah, I'll have to come over and join you.
Summer would be too
You
easy.
definitely
It'd
have
be
to.
too warm in summer.
It's too warm, yeah. It's just too easy. No, it's actually it's swimming in general in the water is just lovely. So summer will definitely be a vibe for that.
Great. And so you said you're living in Brighton now.
I am, yeah.
How have you been there long? Didn't you grow up in America?
I didn't grow. I was born there. I was born in
Okay.
California, Santa Cruz, but my parents had the brilliant idea.
Exotic.
My parents had the brilliant idea of moving to England when I was like a couple months old. So never really can say I've lived in America, but I've got the green card, which is kind of handy.
Little baby Sylvan.
Little baby Sylvan, yeah.
So when your film career kicks off, then you should be like, yeah, I'm dipping, boys. Let's head back over to the promised land.
Over to Cali, yeah, exactly.
But so what was your like early life like? What did you start filming early? Did you do something else? What was the?
I started filming. I've only been filmmaking for like, I think I started about maybe 5 years ago. So I haven't been like properly chucked into it for the longest amount of time. It's definitely a decent amount of time to know enough to get by. But I've always been interested in like creative stuff. I've actually been into music more than I've been into filmmaking for more of my life. But yeah, like filmmaking's most in those 5 years has been like what's completely taken over my life and been like, wow, this is really cool. Didn't even know I could have a career out of it, and now here I am, like just about getting by. But yeah, it's like it's good fun.
There's almost a natural progression for quite a lot of people from music to video, or vice versa, because you see the tie between them and how relatable
they pair beautifully,
and they pair really nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. Ironically as well, like at the moment during all this quarantine stuff where video work's kind of plummeted quite badly for me personally, for most people except for Joel obviously, but I've actually been spending a lot more time making my own songs again, like which I've never really done properly, so it's been nice focusing on something that like feels more like to my roots, so that's fun.
Nice.
But yeah, video still steals my heart a bit too.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of put it, or like put them both together at some points as well, especially with like music videos and even just like little bits and like little film clips and stuff. You can kind of put your songs together, and I guess it helps quite a lot. It's
really interesting. It's the one thing I've been really interested in diving into more, because like even just making your own film scores for like a minute Instagram clip is like a super fun challenge, and musically obviously, but also for the film, and like it's like it's the new in between kind of creative mind that you have to have, because it's not like you're making a film and you're making music. It's like there's something in between that makes them. It's the relationship that you're trying to work on.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's definitely interesting, and it's definitely a different challenge, but it's super fun and rewarding.
Yeah. So you said about your little Instagram clips.
Yes.
Like I remember when I first saw you, like I originally followed you on Instagram before I knew even like, I'd ever met you in real life. So
right. Yeah. Totally.
I remember seeing you, and at the time I was still doing my little Instagram videos, and there was like a few other people around, and then I just saw your stuff, and I was just like, wow, like this is like so much better than what I'm doing.
Dude, don't make me cry.
And yeah, and I think you've only got better since. I remember when you started to do like the little thumbnails where you'd have like the white line or the white bars, and like make it all look widescreen, but then you would like cut out the top so that somebody's head would be like, I was like, like how have you come up with this idea? I kind of want to steal it, but I don't want to steal it.
Oh man, well I can't really take credit for that. I feel like I've always had the idea of like playing like, you know, the whole letterbox thing, the whole widescreen thing, and then you see people like sometimes just in design and everything it comes out a lot, but yeah, it's definitely not my own idea, unfortunately. Should have stolen it.
I think the best thing that I see from you at the moment, at least, is your ability to like fully stay creative in this time. And I feel like I might be completely wrong, but from what I see is like you're always still like trying to innovate ideas, and you're always trying to like keep going with what you're doing, whereas like a lot of people are kind of like stopping and like having this time as like a downward spiral, whereas
For sure.
like
Like
yourself and other people are kind of just taking this time as like an opportunity to get better and just to try on new ideas and stuff like
For
that.
sure.
So
Yeah.
how do you stay so creative in this time?
Well, dude, first, thank you. I really appreciate all the compliments, and I feel like I don't deserve them all, but thank you. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, to be completely honest, I feel like I've actually got... Sorry, there's a plane.
Just roll with it.
Cool. To be honest, it's like, at the moment, I think the reason I stay so easily motivated to do my own thing and to try and come up with new ideas and stay creative during a time like this is that it's such a perfect time to really focus and hunker down on a lot of things that I've had in my mind but never had the time to really go and get, you know? But yeah, I think it's also just because I generally see it as like I'm a really fortunate person in the fact that I have things that I'm really passionate about, such as filmmaking and music and among other things. But like I think it's actually unfortunately for most people, like this quarantine's been really tough, obviously, and it's been a really tough time, but people are losing their jobs, and also like mental health, people are really struggling in a lot of ways, and even in smaller ways, like creatively, they're lacking in things, and there's like all this different stuff. It's just weird for everyone. But I feel like for some people, including myself, there's sides to it, which is like, okay, this is a really nice time to just like get really creative and really focus on certain things that make you happy and motivated, you know?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think,
Don't know if that answers
awesome.
the question.
I think that's the sort of thing that I will try and just like kind of tell everyone. It's like,
For sure, yeah.
right now, like this is a time where you're potentially not as busy as you used to be, but you can then still stay productive and potentially learn stuff that you've been wanting to learn and stuff like that. So like, for example, like I've taken up the challenge of like learning as many of like the Adobe products as possible.
Yeah, I've seen that on
And
Instagram. It's looking really cool. as well.
How are you getting on
Yeah.
with that, Joel?
We're getting there. I think I've been fortunate enough to use a lot of them within a few jobs that have kind of taken over my life for the last 2 weeks.
Nice.
So I've been learning on the job, which is really fortunate. But
That's good.
I think right now is I used to always be like, oh, like I really want to learn like After Effects, for example.
For sure.
But I just never have the time. I'm always like out and about filming and stuff like that. And it's like now I've just got like a lot more time to just sit and be like, I just want to go and make something random. And like they're not going to be great straight off the bat, but like I know that it's a thing that if I put my time and effort into it, it will get there eventually, and I'll be able to use it for jobs and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that sort of thing is like super inspiring to see.
Definitely.
In this time. So
Do you find this is not a question for Joel, so don't answer. Do you find that you like living in Brighton as like a creative inspiration, as a sense, like because there's so much happening at such a vibrant city? Do you think it helps your sort of like drive and your desire to be creative, like just being able to go down to the beach and be like, oh great, there's something I can see there? Because we know, you know, like some of your Instagram stuff, for instance, I remember you did one of the murmuration of starlings,
Of course.
over the West Pier, and that got like that got massive. That was like it got huge. I saw it on everybody's Instagram, and it was like, what?
A lot of good response.
Do you find that like things like that are just a constant source of creativity, or do you find sometimes you're like, you know, I've got to find something new, or is it easy for you to be able to see something and be like, oh, that's awesome?
I think that works hand in hand, and that's kind of spot on as well. It's like it's kind of the same thing I said before. It's like I'm fortunate enough. Another thing I'm fortunate for is living in a place like Brighton. Yeah. So it's like the city is. I live right by the sea. It's like 1 minute for me to go to the beach, and I do often, almost every day. So it's like it definitely, the vibrance of Brighton and like the energy of the people and how creative it is. It's definitely a massive inspiration for like. Yeah. Even when you don't have inspiration, for example, you can just go to the beach, like you're saying, and capture like, oh wow, I know that it's starling season at the moment, so I'll go and make a video of them every day. Yeah. So it's like things like that really definitely help.
Do you ever find yourself just like going to the beach, like without your camera and then running back to get it, or do you always take your camera everywhere, or do you just like?
So because I've gone to the beach and had to go home so many times to get my camera, it's I've learned to slowly just bring my camera everywhere, even if I think I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, I know that it's happened so many times where it's just like I'm at the beach and like, well, this is really gorgeous, and I'm really annoyed that I don't have my camera now. So it's like definitely have to run home. So yeah, definitely.
Before I had a phone that could take like any kind of decent like photo or anything, it was like my camera went everywhere, even though it was like an awful camera at the time.
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
the
like,
same with me.
Now I've got my phone, I'm sort of I find a little bit less drive, because my phone's actually ironically a better camera than my camera. So it's like, I'm just sort of like, oh, I won't take my camera, I'll just use my phone if I see it.
For sure. I mean, phones are doing great nowadays, so
yeah.
Do you do much on like your phone and stuff, or is it mostly like camera based? Have you experimented with any of that?
So I've thought about it a lot, and I think I've tried but failed quite a few times, just because it feels different, you know. It's just like when you want to get a certain movement, it's like there's not the weight to it, and little things like that are like what is like the moment of inertia or whatever it's called. When you're having a heavy camera, it just helps a million times better than like filming around with this and like being
for
cool.
sure.
Yeah.
But I've definitely tried, and I think it's getting closer and closer to my point where it's ridiculous how like good phones are getting. So I definitely feel like in the future it'll be harder to want to take my camera out when you don't need to. But
Okay, I think that's something we've obviously chatted on this podcast before about it, but it's like right now, like it's so easy for everyone to kind of get creative and stuff if they're willing to put the time and the thought into it. Like you will get some amazing results from these like tiny little phones.
It's crazy, as
opposed to like carrying this huge camera around. And like most people do have a phone that has a reasonably good camera on, and
totally.
And like even like the stability and stuff, like the inbuilt stabilizers on these iPhones is amazing, and
it's crazy.
It's so easy to just get stuff done. And I think a lot of people, especially like Zach Lower and stuff, who you obviously know on Instagram, he's like kind of just made like a whole new wave of like a filmmaking style with these like masking and just shooting it on your iPhone. And I've seen so many people kind of like taking those ideas and putting them into their own videos, and it's like, especially like some of the younger guys, they're all really like pushing for this idea, and he's kind of just making a wave of new,
it's really cool,
new creatives. And it's like, I think that's the thing. And obviously what you do as well with your video content and stuff, it inspires so many people that you then see like these new guys come onto the scene. And obviously I've been watching your stuff for a while, but I remember there's a few that really stand out to me. It was the first one was it at a zoo or something like that? It was called like The Contrast of Freedom.
Oh yeah, that was wow. Yeah.
That was one of the first videos that I saw, like other than Instagram stuff. That I kind of saw of your stuff. And then also recently you did the quarantine in Brighton one, where you kind of ran around and it was like the streets were empty and you kind of contrasted between.
For sure.
And I think what I see the most in your stuff is a lot of it has quite like a powerful message behind it. And do you think about that before? Is it just like I've just filmed it and it's kind of come across that way?
I mean, you saying that makes me really happy, because that's like kind of what I strive for essentially in filmmaking. It's like, I definitely feel like there's been a point where, like, you know, Instagram snippets are lovely and they can inspire people in plenty of ways, especially depending on the video. But I also feel like there's also some limitations in terms of how much of a story you can tell. And like those two examples you had, like, ironically, it's interesting you say The Contrast of Freedom, because I forgot about that video so long ago. But it's like, it's always been one of the videos that stood out to me for myself, because it's like, wow, this one really felt like I was telling a story, and that's like really what I strive for. So yeah, I definitely think that it's like I'm definitely learning and slowly growing my bubble of seeing like how much I see filmmaking as possible to do different things, especially in storytelling. So it's like I definitely have recently especially been thinking more about like, wow, okay, cool, this is like, you can spread some really powerful messages, and that's like really appealing to me.
I
think that's the kind of thing that people need like especially at the moment, it's just to be able to go on Instagram and have their day sort of like lifted a little bit by
For sure,
by something so
yeah,
creative
totally.
and so beautifully put together. And I think you do have, it's really weird because me being like such a novice to all of this stuff, like I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like there is just a way that you do things and a way that you put clips together and the way that you shoot things that just has this constant movement style that just like brings you in even more. You're constantly watching it and you're like, I don't want to turn away from this. The amount of times I'm scrolling through Instagram to find a post or because I'm just bored or whatever, and then I come across one of Sylvan's videos and I'm like, oh, I've got to watch this now because I can't watch one bit of it or like save for later or whatever. And it's not just like, you know, I'm not just saying that because, you know, I could just easily just be saying that because you're here, but like there is just like this way that you put things together and there's this sort of beauty to it that makes it so enticing and so easy to watch. But then, yeah, as Joel said, just like putting across a message behind it that maybe can help change the way people see things or the way, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
Or even just to, you know, as you were saying about the lockdown video, about the contrast between Brighton thriving and everything and then completely empty. And like, that was honestly one of the most beautiful videos I think I've seen.
Wow, dude.
Shared it everywhere. And then people were like, whoa, you know Sylvan? I've just seen his videos on Instagram. They're so cool. I'm like, okay,
man.
yeah. But
Dude, thanks so much. That's I really appreciate that. It means
I feel
a lot
like
to me.
this podcast is just us flattering Sylvan.
Yeah, dude, like, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting you guys to dig me out and be like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
So I mean, we could easily do that. Like.
No, I like it. How's it going? Keep it
So have you lost a lot of work through the lockdown, or are you still?
Definitely, yeah.
Have you had any projects?
I have. So
or?
I say definitely, like, as if I've lost loads of stuff, but realistically, like, I was really lucky in terms of, we've talked about this before, I think, Joel, but like editing jobs are really clutch at the moment.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was really, I mean, I had been to Ireland like a couple weeks before lockdown and shot a music video there, and then and had like another video. Actually, it was a Brighton lifestyle video, so it's what I had footage for the lockdown video for. Like that was the before footage was from this other video that I was doing for.
I think I bumped into you when you were recording that.
Yeah.
In the lanes.
Wow, dude.
I was walking through the lanes and I just saw Sylvan with a gimbal on the floor.
I forgot about that.
Wow. And he was just like,
there you go.
Oh hey, and I'm like, oh hi.
See, Angus was actually secretly connected to the whole video. That's why it's so beautiful.
I'm in it. I'm in it. Like,
Exactly. You're in there somewhere. Yeah.
So did you have any like projects like cancelled like before, or?
I think I had a couple projects that were cancelled. I think like if I could count, probably like 3 or 4, but they were all like smaller ones, like chilled, like, oh, we're thinking of doing this, can we talk about it? And then it's like you don't hear from them again because it's like everyone's struggling in their own way, of course. But yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, editing jobs are clutch.
Yeah,
and things you can do at home. I've seen a lot of people being creative with the like I spot a lot of photographers I know and even some videographers like trying to set up their own like mini studio as soon as lockdown hit, and then they would like get in touch with brands and be like, hey, I've got this home studio, I can shoot your stuff, you send it to me and I'll do a cool thing. So I've seen a lot of, in general, we've seen a lot of really cool creative ideas coming out from people, which is really nice to see, especially in a time where people are struggling a lot.
So much of this stuff will stick as well. Like I've like my old work where I used to work at a production company. They had just set up their new studio just before lockdown.
Yeah.
But then went into lockdown being like, oh, like you can come and like film your stuff. It'll all be like social distanced and all of that stuff, and you can still work as you would be, especially for these like events and stuff that need like presenters and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just so good to see like how they like innovated it and how productive they were still getting like shoots in and stuff, even though everyone else had stopped. And yeah, I think that's the big one. And with these events as well, like it's a little bit sad because obviously all 3 of us last year kind of went round the circuit of especially like the Christian music event festivals and stuff like that. And just seeing like Big Church Day Out the other day, and obviously I was fortunate enough to be able to put some stuff together for that, but like just not being there in person and the way that like all 3 of us kind of helped create the content for that last year, it was really kind of sad just to sit
really
back
sad,
and just be like, oh, like
we found a comment from Joel's account on one of the Big Church Day outposts from last year, going, "Can't wait to do it all again this next
Oh
year."
man, I saw that you posted that on your story. I was
that
like, no.
did not age well.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. It was funny.
Yeah,
Man.
fine. It was on the business account, so nobody
okay.
knew it was me.
Yeah. until I exposed you.
Until you exposed me. But yeah, I remember last year. You obviously you weren't on the team with us at Big Church Out. You were doing other bits and pieces. But
Yeah.
at David's tent, both you and me kind of ran around and did something for that.
That was good.
That was super fun. Like, and those sorts of times are probably some of my favourite shoots
Definitely.
in what we've done. Just because like the feel good factor, you've got the nice weather, and we obviously came up with something really nice in the end. So,
Yeah, definitely.
but like, what would you say that your like favourite type of shoot is, if you had to pick one style or like genre?
I mean, I don't want to be boring, but I would almost say the same, because I mean, David's tent specifically, there's definitely other shoots I enjoy a lot, but David's tent specifically, like, that was a really fun shoot. It was amazing just being in a crowd of people that were all like there to like worship God, and that was like really beautiful to see, and the you know, the energy in the room was incredible. Like, you can really feel it like pulse through your heart. But like, shooting that was really fun, and like coming up with a creative idea. And yeah, it's definitely like, it's just like, it's an adventure in its own. Like, the whole shoot is like an adventure. You're coming up with ideas, and
I think that especially with that one, I remember we arrived and we knew what we were there to achieve, but there was still like a question behind like how we were going to tell the story.
Yeah, definitely.
And that kind of like coming up with bits and pieces as we went and like kind of placing it together throughout the weekend was amazing. I remember going to chat with them, and they were like this is like this video, we want it just to be like another form of worship, and like just like kind of allow yourself to be creative, like put whatever ideas you think will work together, and having that kind of creative freedom to then make what we did, I think would have been completely different if they were like, oh, like we want this and this, and it just wouldn't have flowed like that. And I think those sorts of shoots are like super important to like or that kind of mindset going into shoots is so important. Like, it's great to have a plan, and it's great to have a storyboard and all of that stuff, but sometimes, especially those sorts of shoots, if you can kind of just be picking up stuff as you go, and you're going to be constantly like thinking of new ideas and finding new things to do. And I think with that, though, that I would agree, that's probably one of my favorite.
Definitely.
I think what I've always found with the sort of the Christian festival kind of shoot is, it's like you're constantly inspired everywhere you go, because there's always stuff happening, like because people are, you know, doing their thing basically. It's like you go, even just walk through a camp or whatever, and you're like, oh, there's so much stuff here, there's so much like joy, there's so much whatever, and it's like things that inspire you to make stuff. I know when we were doing Big Church Day Out, and our sole focus was socials.
For sure.
Like we gotta put out these.
It was a different vibe,
like
and
stories
energy,
and stuff,
like,
and it's like, let's find the energy on this site. Let's not try and like go for, you know, oh right, okay, I'm gonna go do a camp one now. It's like, no, I'm just gonna walk around the site, see what happens. And I did that. You know, there was quite a few that I actually just walked around, just like, you know, maybe I went and saw people I knew or whatever to try and get them to do something funny for the camera, but mainly just like looking for the sources of joy, and and I guess that ties back to, you know, walking around Brighton and go, and, you know, just going, where can I find inspiration and creativity?
Totally. And it's the same experience.
And it's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah.
What's it like working with Joel then?
Man, he's
what's
terrible.
your opinion?
No, honestly, it was really fun. That was like, I think collaboration wise, that's like one of the best jobs I've had in terms of like collaborative effort of like both of us just having our own creative ideas. And
because I wasn't there.
I remember every Sylvan, you can tell the story.
Basically, Joel loves you, Angus. He was like, oh, I miss Angus, I wish he was here.
We'd just done Soul Survivor when you went off to David's tent. We'd done a week shooting at Soul Survivor, and let me tell you, spending a week with Joel, that was too much. That was too much, Joel.
I only had 3 days, so I was lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think weekend shoots are perfect. Week long shoots, no, I'm never doing them again. But like, it was it was so funny because he'd come off of it and he was like, "Oh, I just really want to stick around for the next week, but I'm getting paid at Davis Turns, so I'm not going to do that." And then the whole week he was messaging me going, "I miss you, I miss you, I miss you."
I know, it was so funny.
I want to be back. I want to come back. It's like,
yeah,
so
Angus just has a nice vibe when we shoot. He's just like,
man.
I'll be running around. Yeah, I'll be running around stressing out about getting some shot, and then he'll just like say something, and then I'll just like, oh, okay, this is quite fun.
I remember vividly. It was like the second to last day of Soul Survivor. We were mad stretched. I remember because that highlights video. It went out. Well, they showed it on the final meetings. That was like 7 o'clock. So it had to be done by like 6:30, like max. And then we just ran it over. We ran it over just on a hard drive on my I think I airdropped it to the laptop in the end or something. Yeah. So like it was maybe 5 o'clock and we had about 30 seconds to fill. And Joel was like, "I'm just going to go colour grade." I'm like, no, we need to go shoot stuff. So we just ran around asking people to fake laugh and like fake smile while we filmed them. And we managed to pull together about 30 seconds of gold.
We managed.
Yes. But Joel the whole time was just like, "Oh no, I just need to colour grade this." Like, "Oh, this clip's looking really warm," and I'm like, "I don't care. We got a deadline." Like, but I think I love that. I love that about you because you do always strive for excellence, even if we're on a deadline.
It's good when you have a duo of you, like you two are a perfect example of like a duo that's like one of you's really striving for something, one of you's being more realistic about it, and you kind of combine perfectly.
It's
like, it's really good. It's like you pull each other back to the perfect like balance of what you're doing.
We're supposed to be complimenting you. So.
What an ending that was though, at the end of that, like just going and how many people were at Soul Survivor?
That week was 10,000 maybe?
10,000, and just seeing 10,000 people all reacting to a video that was just kind of like
there was one
together.
Transition that we did, which was shooting someone holding out like a drink or whatever, and then we like shut up, and then it went over to a basketball, and the whole tent went, whoa! At the same time.
It was like,
it was just like, because it was the first thing we did. That was the first thing we shot for that video, was that transition.
Yeah.
And the whole time we built everything around it. And then everyone was just like, whoa. It was so satisfying.
That's a good feeling, right?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
I miss those. I miss those days. Shit. But I think I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
And I think this question is, it might even be like a little question that we ask all of our guests, but
nice.
What do you see, like where do you see yourself in the next five years?
Oof. I feel like I'm a kid again.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Exactly.
I want to be an
real.
astronaut.
I mean, damn it, you stole my answer. To be honest, there's 3 things I say I'm really passionate about at the moment. The creative side of those things is definitely music. I'm really keen on, when it comes back to like the discussion we were having earlier about like telling a story and like sending positive messages out in the world. I feel like music and filmmaking are very powerful tools for that. So in that sense, those like filmmaking and music are definitely a big passion of mine. And then also just working on myself and like working on a relationship with God and different things like that. It's like I think just those 3 things like keeping me like solid and grounded to what I really want to strive to be in the future, I think is the main thing for me.
Very good.
That was a better answer than we could have ever predicted.
Yeah. Well done.
I don't think guys, everybody's answers are going to be that good.
You never know. Never know.
You've set the bar. Well,
awesome.
We've actually got a little video entry from last week.
Yes. So last week we asked people, because we mumbled on about gear for about an hour. And some people actually listened to the whole thing, which was so surprising. But we asked people to submit like some videos or something about what gear they're using, and we've had like a little submission, haven't we?
Yeah,
only one.
Only one.
We'll take it. This one. So this is from Mikey Oldfield, and I'm just gonna play it down the mic, just so you can all hear it, and then we'll add it in post, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey Joe and Angus, I've been loving your podcast, and on the last episode you said get in touch, let us know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, and what gear you're using. First of all, who doesn't love self-promotion? And second of all, I could actually really do with some help. So I'm Mikey. I am a cinematographer and video content creator based in Southampton. I do loads of the same stuff you do. I'm on the church scene, currently doing live stream stuff every week, and I've done all the big church day out and things like that. So I relate with a lot of what you're doing, and for the last year and a half I've been using the FS5, which has been great. It was a big move for me. I went up from a Canon 5D to FS5 and I've loved it, but I'm just in the process of thinking about changing gear now. And I was on the brink of purchasing the Pocket 4K from Blackmagic, and now I'm wondering about whether to hold off for something that's full frame, something that will come out in the future, or to keep saving and get the Ursa Mini Pro. Thing is, like, I want the stuff like a gimbal and wireless follow focus and a new set of lenses and all of that. So there's lots to weigh up. I've probably got currently about $3 or $4 grand budget. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Amazing.
By full frame, he means he wants to spend a lot of money.
Yeah. So
I think the first thing to take from that, which I think is still something that I still see that isn't understood properly in the world, is that the Pocket cinema camera is a cinema camera. It's not a DSLR. And I think I think he's hit the nail on the head, basically, of actually having to weigh up between an Ursa and a Pocket shows the Pocket shows Blackmagic how much the Pocket is valued as a camera now. Like, it's
absolutely.
such an incredibly versatile piece of gear for such a low price. I still don't believe how it's that cheap. And
it is
I
crazy
think
to
people
think
see
about.
that and go, "Oh, it's a DSLR," but it's not. Like, me and Sylvan both have mirrorless. We're both shooting on the Lumix. I'm on a GH4, but you're on a GH5.
GH5.
And that, it's a mirrorless, but it's the same form factor as a DSLR. You get incredible battery life on it. You get incredible all that sort of stuff. The Pocket is not the same as that. The Pocket, you need to build it out with a battery. You need to build it out with a monitor, things like that. He was saying, obviously, gimbal, follow focus, stuff like that. Yeah. We build the Pocket out a fair amount, don't we, Joel? It's like chuck an external battery, external hard drive, stuff like that on it.
Yeah, even a monitor, like as much as the screen's great, it's not the sharpest thing, and it doesn't flip. So
exactly.
Although
I've seen that there is a company that
tilter,
that modify them to have a tilting screen.
Yeah, that's true. That's quite cool.
It looks really cool. Yeah.
I think from experience owning both of those cameras, obviously, as I've said in previous podcasts, I'm still striving for that kind of full frame look without having to like sacrifice. I had the A7S for a bit, but I just couldn't get what I wanted out of it in terms of like color and like the bit like whatever, and that's why I kind of went towards the Blackmagic stuff. But if they did bring out a full frame camera, I would very much be interested in it, like even just like checking it out and seeing whether it was worth it. But if someone comes to me and says, can I get shall I get a Pocket or shall I get an Ursa, I'm always going to tell them to get an Ursa, depending on what they want to do.
I find the footage you get out of an Ursa is just like leaps and bounds above anything you'll be able to get out of a Pocket. Like, you can definitely tell the difference between their footage, and while they do pair very nicely, I find that I actually really like shooting with the Ursa because of its form factor. Yeah. Whereas, like, I could easily go handheld with an Ursa for a day, but I can't with a Pocket because it's just such a different style of form factor. And obviously, you got to remember, neither of them have got in-body stabilization, have they?
No. But the weight of the Ursa kind of helps.
The weight of the Ursa really helps. Like I found the perfect shooting position with the Ursa is great. The problem is when you're shooting with an Ursa for a day, you've really got to be hench.
So it's tough. What I would say is, if you want to go for the Ursa, definitely do it if you've got the budget behind you. But you say that you want a gimbal, you say you want all of this stuff. Like, gimbals for the Ursa probably start at about $2,000.
Probably more.
And then you want to go and get like an easy rig and stuff like that. Otherwise, your back's going to be killing you after 20 minutes. So I think
Joel's had
I
an
would-
Ursa for a year and then went and bought an easy rig.
Yeah, like I caved,
Yeah.
but I
Thought
think
to must
I
admit.
think from what you said, you've got about £4,000 to spend. What I would probably do is I'd pick up a 4K, a pocket 4K, along with potentially like my style of shooting is very much like a 35 and a 50 range for lens wise. So I'd probably go for like maybe just some like Samyang cine lenses or something like that, just like really budget but pretty high quality stuff. And then you can fit with a bit of an adaptation, you can fit a pocket on like a Ronin S or a Zion Crane or something like that. So you could easily do that, and then you've got just a little bit more money to spend on things like maybe getting like a speed booster or getting some like Pro Mist filters or something, just to make that extra kind of look that you'll want to get. And I've actually heard that if you put a like the Metabone speed booster on the pocket, it turns it into an even bigger sensor range than the Ursa. So it actually makes the sensor technically
more full
bigger.
frame, yeah.
Yeah,
The
so
thing I will spend so long in my life saving up for is a Metabone speed booster.
yeah, I still don't have one.
It will
so I
cost
don't
me
know
more than it cost me to buy my camera. Second
It's
hand.
really close to the price of the actual camera itself,
Yeah.
especially the
Yeah.
pocket. Like
Yeah.
I've
But-
got one on mine, but it was like a long time ago, so
Yes.
my pain
it's
is
so
gone.
worth it
Your
though.
pain
And
is yeah.
yeah, so I think the thing that I'm always looking for is that kind of usability, but for the price. And especially as you said, you might want to get like a some form of wireless follow focus. If you can then get a pocket all rigged out and stuff, and then still have like a little bit of money left, that follow focus will do you so much good for just getting those like shallow depth gimbal stuff. And that's kind of my take on it. I'd say go for the pocket, unless you can get more budget to then rig out an
How
Ursa.
much more budget do you reckon? Because what are the new Ursa Mini Pros are retailing for? How much?
You can get them. You can get the V1 second hand for like $3,000 now, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
so maybe
it's
a couple
not
more
too
grand,
bad.
Like,
yeah, like worst case scenario, what you could do is you could just run it like how I've done it, in a way that you have the Ursa as like your A cam, and then you'll just get like a pocket on a gimbal, and you can kind of run that as a B cam just for the gimbal stuff. I think that's probably the best thing to do if you can afford that. But
I'd also say
if you can only pick one up, get the pocket.
I'd also say if you're used to shooting with an FS5, the Ursa is going to be a much easier transition.
Way
than
easier.
the pocket.
To be fair
But, I
though,
don't know.
the FS5 isn't actually that heavy, is it?
No, it's not. Although
It's definitely not as heavy as the Ursa.
I've never shot on an FS5. I shot on an FS7, so I'm assuming
The
they're
FS7
fairly
is quite light as well.
similar. Yeah.
I think the FS5 is even lighter than the FS7. So
Right.
Yeah, it's smaller.
Yeah.
So it will be a bit of an adjustment, but just get like a shoulder rig or something on it. But yeah, my thoughts is the pocket. What are you guys thinking?
who wants to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, pocket. No, so like genuinely, I think that I'm going to agree with Joel on this one and say the pocket's a better idea. But I also think if you're going to go for the pocket, you have a lot of extra. Well, not a lot. You've got a decent amount of extra budget to spend. So I would say rig it out to like get a bit more weight on it, like a back battery, like a V mount or something, to like kind of get more of a similar experience to shooting with an FS5 or FS7 or Ursa, wherever it is. So that you can go handheld and have like, because obviously handheld is so different on a mirrorless camera to a cinema camera that's looks completely different. And then you obviously have opportunity to have a gimbal as well, which would definitely, you kind of have more flexibility, I think, with the pocket in terms of what you can get.
I always think of the
just
pocket
a little
as-
curveball.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a little curveball. What do you think from, well, both of you really, probably more Sylvan.
Wow.
What do you think about chucking the idea of like a GH5 in there?
Oh.
Oh, hello.
How do you think? Because you've obviously used the pocket and the Ursa, and then you obviously use the GH5 on like a daily basis.
Yeah.
How do you think they compare, and would you potentially say that could be an option to look into?
So I would love to say yes. And in a lot of ways, yes. But like the GH5 served me really, really, really well, and it's been a workhorse of a camera. But what I've been leaning towards more is like the cinematic quality of the videos, and you can definitely go get fine cinematic quality with the GH5. But I think the things that stand out to me as most important at the moment are probably, if at the top, is dynamic range, because that's what gives you the cinematic look, and the GH5 is not amazing, even with Vlog, which I don't even have, but Joel knows that.
I still don't understand how Sylvan has had. How long have you had a GH5 for?
Since it came out, so like 3 years,
and just never bought Vlog.
No, just can't. Like £80, get a thing. I don't know.
It's really off-putting for me, because I'm like, I want to shoot in Vlog, but it's 80 quid, and while it's not actually a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, it's still 80 quid. And it's like, just to get like a serial code. And it's like,
every time I get Sylvan in on a shoot, I'm like, have you got Vlog yet? He's like, no.
I'm like, no, but I have a LUT that turns Cine D into Vlog. One day
we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
Maybe we should buy it as like a birthday present for him.
Yeah.
Vlog. Oh my god.
Joel, you can buy me Vlog for my birthday as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah. What I was going to say, I was just going to say that I always think of the Pocket as the brain of a cinema camera instead of an actual camera on its own. I think of it as you know, like, even when you're looking at like Reds, for instance, you buy the brain of the camera and then stuff around it. I always think of the Pocket as that instead of.
You think of it as a similar experience to that, yeah.
Because if you use a Pocket on its own, you're gonna cause yourself so many problems.
Oh yeah.
So you've always got to build it out, even if it's just a battery and external hard drive. I know people who shoot on the Pocket with SD cards, and I'm like, all of your SD cards are 512 gigabytes, and you can only get how much on it? Like an hour, maybe not even that. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you might as well just invest in other things, and so I think you have to build it out.
For sure.
Which, I mean, you've still got to do with the Ursa a bit, but not as much. You know, you could still reliably use the Ursa on its own.
100%.
Not to drag it on too much, but you know, we all know that Zach has the 6K, the Pocket 6K.
Yeah.
And I think he's got quite like an interesting middle ground. Like, he's got a bit more weight on the camera because he's got a V mount. Like, he's mounted the camera on top of a V mount.
Yeah.
And then he shoots on like CFast cards, so it's like he's got a kind of like an in betweener, which I guess works well for him. But
that works really well. He's very good with like handheld in general, though.
Definitely, definitely.
He's always been like very, very good with how he's moving the camera and keeping it steady. So
yeah.
I think
amazing.
I think that wraps it up. I think one quick thing you might have noticed if you're watching a clip of this, we're now filming these episodes for the near future at least. So do go and follow our Instagram, because that is going content. To be.
You can see how extra Joel is.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, your setup's gonna be sick.
I'm just working with what I've got, boys.
We were saying before we started recording that me and Sylvan both do music, and yet we've got cheaper gear, like sound gear, than Joel has bought in the past 3 weeks.
It doesn't make sense.
You do 3 episodes of a podcast and you drop nearly 500 quid getting sound gear.
It's not just the podcast. I will use it for work. But
definitely.
It also helps a little bit for the podcast.
I'll be interested to see what like After Effects animations you'll be doing on the Instagrams and stuff.
Yeah, that could be fun. Well, if anyone's got any ideas for that, let us know.
I spent about 4 hours doing typography for a 1-second clip, and then
that was you.
It didn't even get shared around that much. I was like,
everyone thinks that I made that, by the way.
Really? Great.
And
well,
I have to just be like, that wasn't actually me.
That's great, because it means that I'm definitely getting somewhere.
I thought it was Angus as well.
Oh, cute.
No, sorry, I thought it was Joel.
Oh.
Sorry.
Right, Sylvan can go.
Yeah, I'll leave now.
Yeah, just leave now. But
brilliant,
guys. Thank you for listening.
This has been awesome.
Yeah.
If you've reached this far, we're gonna do another one of our little DM challenges.
Yeah.
What Sylvan? We'll leave this to you. What emoji shall we be telling these guys to?
Oh wow.
What's your favourite
emoji?
Shall I look on my phone and see what the first one that comes up?
Although, sorry, yours isn't emoji, is it? What's it called?
Emoji.
Is it?
Androids.
Yeah, it's Android emoji.
Oh, Android.
Isn't it?
Android emoji.
Yeah.
I'll do it on WhatsApp so it mimics Oh man!
this
To be
is-
honest,
so-
it's just a laughing face because.
So the
Never mind.
last one was a squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe a
and
monkey
so-
then.
Okay,
A
so
monkey?
so
Is there a monkey
we're gonna
Definitely
do
monkey. Oh yeah, bro. There's like 3 or 4.
Right.
Rare.
so we've
Right,
got
monkey emoji.
we've got a monkey emoji followed by like an @tag of somebody that you would love to hear us talk to on the podcast.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Nice.
So
Brilliant.
if you can do the monkey followed by @blank, and we will do our best
Great.
to have a chat with said person.
Sounds
So
perfect.
I hope you all have a lovely week.
Obviously, be realistic with it. Don't like.
Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
We can get him.
Yeah,
I hope
great.
you all have a lovely week.
Thank you so much, Sylvan,
And
for coming in,
My
Yeah,
pleasure. Thank
joining
you
us
guys for
from,
having me.
from the comforts of your own home.
Thank you for like overwhelming me with compliments and.
You're welcome. It'll never happen again.
Too much.
It'll
No,
never
good.
happen again.
Okay.
Next time I see you, Sylvan, you're crap.
Okay. I appreciate it. It'll be a nice change for me. Humble
Yeah,
me a bit
right.
more.
Yeah.
And
Brilliant.
on that note, we will see you all next week.
Yeah. Bye bye.
See you later, boys.
people.